Hey guys, this is Steel City EDC, and today we're going to talk about the Chris Reeves Knives Umnumzaan Tanto. This one is often called the Zaan, short for Umnumzaan, and Umnumzaan means the boss in South African. Chris Reeves, who designed this knife many years ago, is South African. So although they're made in, I believe is Idaho now. Idaho, yeah, there you go, Idaho made. The ancestry is from South Africa. So before we start going into this, my YouTube channel is Steel City EDC. My Instagram is Steel City EDC, and my Facebook is Steel City EDC. So you're watching this on YouTube, but please do feel free to give me a follow on Instagram or Facebook or both. Steel City EDC. These are dedicated EDC channels. And it's all about me, my collection and my stuff and talking about these kind of things. So the Umnumzaan or the Zaan is probably one of the best known, most loved, hard use, capable folding knives around. Very famous with lots of people. Lots of people will tell you this is the best, folding knife you can get. Now, that's all speculative and a matter of opinion. These are fantastic, no secret there. I think this is amazing. So this is actually a slightly older version, and it's from when they used to use S35 VN blade steel, which I think is a fantastic blade steel. After that, Chris Reeves moved up to S45 VN, and now they're doing Magna Cuts. This one was initially sandblasted, and I got a second hand, and I had her glass blasted. So you've got this slightly lighter looking blasted finish here, which is the glass blasted. This has got a titanium backspacer that's finished the same way from Fast Number Ones on Instagram, and it's got the MIM titanium pocket clip from Chris Reeve Knives. So not completely standard, but just basically aftermarket finishing to make it almost as if it was a newer version. This one is really smooth. People talk about the Chris Reeve action on washers, and this is absolutely no exception to that. These aren't meant to be drop shutty, from what I've told. There you go. So you can, it's making a liar of me. I was going to say, you can flick it out. Maybe a little bit of wrist is required, or maybe I'm just a bit rusty. But let's have it a go. There you go. You can absolutely flick it out. A little bit of wrist. But I don't think that's what these are made for, really. They're made for that thumb roll. And they are perfect for the thumb roll. You could do this all day. When you get one of these new, full disclosure, you will have to break it in. And that will take several hundred thumb rolls or flips, or however you want to do it, and your thumb will feel like it's going to fall off. It's really hard work to get these broken in. Once they are broken in, they are incredible. The other thing to be completely transparent about, the lock bar has a good bit of tension on this lock bar, so when you are disengaging it, you really feel it. Let me kind of show you. So this bit here, you see it's got this little tab here, which helps you to get a grip on the lock bar, but when you're disengaging it, that is not comfortable on your thumb. So this isn't what I would call a fidget-friendly, fiddly type knife. It hasn't got that fidget appeal because of this. What it does have is real-world applications for if you're opening this, and your hands were wet, maybe you've been out in the field, maybe you're skinning a deer or gutting an animal and, your hands are covered in blood, maybe you're wearing gloves, or you're dirty, or, whatever it is, maybe you're in the sand pit and your tactical use, maybe you've got whatever oil on your hands, whatever that's making them slippy, or you need that grip. With the combination of the grip on the scales and the blasted finish and this tab here, you aren't going to miss that. You have these little rubber washers. You can see them here, the black rubber washers, which kind of touch the frame. So instead of making that clunk sound, that click sound of metal on metal, you get the clunk as the metal on washers, and that cushions this a little bit. It also, I think, makes it slightly easier when you're rolling it out. Not massively, but slightly. These thumb studs are domed, so they're quite comfortable. You've got some good grip jimping here, which is, you can kind of see. It's more than adequate. Now this little tab here, I'm not sure if it's how it's intended, but it has a dual purpose, because when your finger's in there, it gives you like a slightly more grippy finger choil. You've obviously got the flare there, like the finger guard, and of course you've got the sculpted titanium scale. So you overall, you have a really solid, comfortable grip. As I said earlier, you've got these textured titanium scales. These are how it comes from the factory, you know, with that textured titanium. It really is a very solid, comfortable folding knife. The kind of thing you feel you could work with all day, a real tool. Now this backspacer, it was aftermarket. The standard, they just come with the kind of standoffs or spacers that go in between the two scales, and they come with a lanyard as standard as well. I'm not really a lanyard kind of guy, so the first thing I do is take that out. And I love the aesthetic of the backspacer. It does give some grip with this textured one. You know, for me, it's not really needed. I don't use it in this way. I am a collector rather than a tactical, survival, hard use type guy. So for me, it's more about the aesthetics, the design, the fit and finish, the feel, the value, all those kind of things that I'm interested in. I do have some users, and if I was going to make this into one of those users, it would be more than capable of being fantastic, but that's just not how I do it with this one. So in terms of a quick measurement, and then we'll do the size comparison. Let's get the tape measure out. To the end of the Tanto. There we go. So we can see this is an 8.5 inch overall long knife. That's probably, you can see it better there. Okay. In terms of the blade is 3.5 inches, just a touch over 3.5 inches actually. And the cutting edge is just a shade under 3.5 inches. But it's got a really good blade length and cutting edge length for the handle. The blade to handle ratio, I guess, is what you would say there. Really good. So comparing this against some other knives that you may or may not be aware of. This is another one by Chris Reeves. This is the Sebenza 21, sorry, Sebenza 21, brain farts, Sebenza 31. There you go, you can see. Very similar in terms of size. The Umnumzaan is ever so slightly bigger, but not much in it. And if we put them here like this, you can see the Umnumzaan has a slightly longer cutting edge, but really not much in it. The Umnumzaan has a larger pivot, and it has slightly thicker blade stock, though there really isn't much in it. In terms of the scales, or the thickness, again, very, very similar. I think the Umnumzaan is slightly thicker, but the Sebenza, or this version has the inlays, and that gives about 1 millimeter extra on each side. So there we go. Very similar in terms of size. I would suggest this is more of an everyday type carry, and this is more of a hard use, would be my suggestion. But of course, we all make our own opinions on that. So next to another one, this is the Reeve Knives XM18. And it's the XM18 3.5, I should say. So you can see the Umnumzaan, or the Zaan, is ever so slightly bigger. It certainly has a bit more cutting edge as well. And if we just pull them back to back here as well, you can see very similar. The XM18 is slightly thicker, but there really isn't much in it. You can see the scales are thicker on the XM18 when you put them side to side. And I believe the blade stock on the XM18 is slightly thicker as well. But again, very similar size knife, both designed for hard use. Let's have another one that you'll be aware of. This is the Strider SNG. This is the kind of middle-sized Strider. Just get in the light there. Again, you can see very similar size. The Umnumzaan is slightly bigger. And you can see in terms of thickness, this is the double gunner grip, so it's a rounded, contoured scales and textured, and very, very similar. Blade stock. It looks to me like the Strider's slightly thicker. I probably need to get a micrometer, but there you go. In terms of cutting edge, you can see the Umnumzaan has got a substantially larger cutting edge, probably about 1 centimetre in that, due to the choil and the sharpener. Another one that's a similar size. This is the Spartan Horsey Folder by Spartan Blades. So, and if we just put them next to each other here, you'll see the Spartan Horsey Folder is slightly bigger. Let's just straighten those up so you can see properly. Not much in it. Again, similar size knives. Again, in terms of thickness, you know, the Spartan Horsey Folder is a bit thicker. Slightly longer cutting edge, slightly longer blade. But again, to all intents and purposes, very, very similar. So, in terms of price, these are, in the US, I think it's $550. And over here in the UK, I think they go for about 600 and something. The difference, of course, being the tax that we pay to import these into this country. And I suppose there's probably a pound-dollar conversion rate in there as well. Would I recommend this knife? Yes, absolutely. I think these are fantastic. I have 2 of these. I have the drop point as well as the Tanto. I'm a collector, so I love that. You know, I've said earlier, this is, I think, designed for that kind of hardcore, tactical, outdoors type use, and it will excel at that. There's no reason you couldn't use this for less. You know, you could use this as a letter opener. You could use this as an everyday carry. It's perfectly capable. It's not particularly heavy. It's fine. You know, it's comfy in the hand. The only thing, as I say, it doesn't really have for me is that fiddle factor. Of course, there'll be some people that tell me that's absolute rubbish and they love fiddling with theirs all day long, and credit to you, not a problem, that's fine. You've probably got tougher thumbs than me. I make no claim that I have He-Man thumbs. So yeah, value for money. I think what that really comes down to, and it's very subjective. You know, we each have our own perspective about what we will or won't spend on a knife and what value is. If you want a knife that's going to last you for the rest of your life, and probably you're going to hand down to your kids, and you know they'll hand down to your grandkids, this absolutely is that knife. You know, it really will. It will stand the test of time. Great steel. Fantastic fit and finish, titanium scales, high precision, high tolerances, absolutely perfect, razor sharp, rock solid, just, yeah, you know, there's very little downside when we kind of talk about these kind of things. The downside for most people will be the price. And I speak to lots of people, you know, chatting on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and they're kind of, oh man, I'd love that, that's my grail. And yeah, of course, absolutely, why wouldn't it be? You know, it's a lot of money, and it's a lot more money than most people have to just outlay on a tool, which is effectively what this is. You know, a collector's piece, a tool, however we want to describe it. You can buy a knife that will be perfectly capable for less than £100. You know, probably for a lot less than that actually, if you really want. You know, if you're comfortable with steel liners and G10 scales and stuff, and a steel that's perfectly capable of holding a good edge and tough. You know, you can probably buy one for, you know, the kind of $50 mark or, you know, equivalent in pounds. So is it good value? Very subjective. For me, it's expensive. I've got 2 of them, so that probably tells its own story. Would I recommend it? Yes, absolutely, without any shadow of doubt. Is it for everyone? No, of course not. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You know, when I first started, well, I've been interested in knives, EDC, all kinds of weapons and tools and stuff since I was a child. You know, I did 3 years in the army. When my 3 years in the army as an infantry soldier, I had a little Webley folding knife with aluminium scales, some rubber inlays, and a horrible, rubbish, cheap blade steel. I don't even know what it was. I think it was called surgical stainless steel. You know, I bought that. That was, we're going back to 25 years ago. That survived 3 years of hard use in the infantry by me. Perfectly capable, cost about £40. You know, and that's where the interesting point comes in, isn't it? So yeah, I would recommend this. I think they're amazing. But of course, completely understand and respect that not everyone can afford that. And that's fine. For me, this hobby isn't about showing off flash stuff. It's about showing off stuff that you love or stuff that you use or stuff that makes you smile. And that's really where I come on from on this. I've got lots of these kind of mid-tech type knives, but I've also got lots of cheap and cheerful ones as well. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're absolutely fine. I think it's very much about what we enjoy. Anyway, I shall stop rambling there because I've been going on for over 15 minutes now. I hope you've enjoyed this overview of the Reeve Knives Umnumzaan Tanto. Please do leave me a comment so I know what you think. I'm thick-skinned, give it to me uncoated, don't sugarcoat it. If you think this is rubbish, you think the format's wrong, whatever it is, tell me. You've got ideas for improvement, tell me. I'd love to hear it. Maybe you agree with what I'm saying here about this knife, maybe you disagree. Either way, that's fine. Let me know in your comments. Please do subscribe, help me grow my channel so I can share more of this kind of content with you guys. Okay, thanks. Have a good one.